One of the most popular searches on YouTube is Easy Care Plants, but have you ever brought home an Easy Care plant and been left sobbing when it goes and dies on you? Sometimes plants get labelled Easy Care when they're anything but, and I'm here to spare you the pain and heartache with 10 Easy Care plants you'll regret buying. Thank me with a subscribe or like or something we needy YouTubers love to bang on about. Let's crack on. Philodendrons have become a real obsession of mine. I go weak at the knees at the sight of a furry limb popping with bulging veins. My favourite is the infamous Melanochrysis, with Verrucosum a close second. The Melanochrysis has been given his moniker by me because he always seems to be in a state of crisis, with new leaves getting annoyingly stuck unfurling. Just look at this one. What even tried to happen here? And the Verrucosum always has this spaced out look with gigantic spaces in between leaf nodes. Get a Gloriosum, they said. It's much easier. Is it? I don't know what his problem is, but let's just say he's not in my good books. Since getting him last year, I've had to cut off 3 leaves because they went yellow, and now the latest ones are acting up too. I really feel like the joke is on me with this one. Stupidly, I put this guy on a moss pole, only to find out later that he's a crawler and not a climber, but that's on me. I've now taken him off that pole, but he's still not cheered up. I'm sure lots of folks have great success with these, but I'm not so sure they're so easy. I would say the plant I get asked most about in the comments to my videos is the humble peace lily. Leaf browning, drooping, yellow leaves, where are the flowers, you name it. And I get it, she can be a real pain, but this doesn't stop her being labelled as an easy care plant. I've got ingrowing toenails that are easier to deal with than this lass. The thing that gives me most bother is the not knowing. The not knowing what rhyme or reason she decides to bless her with her blooms. She's as mysterious as Mrs. Sheffield, and I don't need another one of those in my life. I put her next to the window in spring and summer and nothing. I then put her miles away from the window and look, 2 new flowers are ready to pop. Why do you do this to me? I know these plants are often sentimental to folks, but if you're in the shops considering it, I'd think about whether you want that stress in your life. I've got Hoya, Monstera, Philodendron and more coming up, but first, let me just point you in the direction of my free Plant Parents Troubleshooting Handbook that you can download by following the link in the description or scanning this QR code. It covers all the common nasties we experience as plant parents, why they happen and what to do about it, all in an easily digestible digital handbook, and it's completely for free. Check it out. You might be getting the impression that this video is just a front for me to whine and moan about some plants that I struggle with, and to be honest, I can't really argue with that. Benji, the Ficus benjamina, has been down in tools for a little while now, and this is the latest incident in a series of mishaps I've encountered with this guy. Just look at the soil line. Looks like the floor of a dog grooming centre. When I give it a shake, it rains even more leaves. Why, God, why? This happened 2 years ago when Benji was living in low light. I moved him to this spot where he could bask in the sun all afternoon, and he's been happy as Larry until now. It's probably root bound or something, and that is on me, but it just seems like this geezer throws his dummy out the pram the first chance he gets. I mean, grow some stronger limbs, my friend. This next one you'll regret buying, but not for the reasons you might think. This guy's actually dead easy to grow and beautiful to boot. Then what's the problem? It's too easy to grow. Let's peel the onion. So this is a Hoya Lisa, and if you value your home at all, you wouldn't buy one. Think Little Shop of Horrors. I jest a little of course, but just look at the state of this. This corner of the room is unrecognisable, and this poor devil's ivy has more or less been consumed. The point is, once this plant gets his hooks in, there's no stopping it. Nothing is safe. I've stupidly got a cutting of it in my living room, and I can sometimes feel it trying to grab my ear while I'm working on videos for this channel. Weird little fella, God knows what he wants. We all hate yellowing plants. Can I get an amen? But we all love fenestrated plants, am I right? This puts us in a bit of a conundrum because the plant that fenestrates for fun is also one that yellows at the drop of a hat. Yes, you guessed it, the younger cousin to the Monstera deliciosa, the Adansonii. I've had various versions of this plant in my home over the years, and I've lost track of whether it's the original plant or cuttings. Needless to say, this guy always looks like a dog's dinner over winter, and come summer, he loves nothing more than to push out yellow leaves. I lovingly put this one on a moss bowl and placed it near my dining room window. I knew they get ultra fussy with direct sunlight, so I put him behind his brethren. Well, he still threw a hissy fit, so I've now moved him well away from the window and under these Sansi grow lights. Hopefully he'll behave better now. By the way, you can get 15% off these lights with the details in the description. They turn any plant dummy, like yours truly, into a plant whisperer in no time. If you saw my recent video where I ranked all my plants from A to D with a special S tier, then you'll have seen me put this gal in A class. That's mainly because I'm a sucker for pinks, beiges, greens and whites. I go weak at the knees. Enough for me to forgive all the nightmares she inflicts on me on a regular basis. Tradescantias are never an easy care plant, and the tricolour is no different. Do you want to know why? Because they hate being houseplants. Honestly, they do. If you ever saw one of these in the wild, you would see that they are creepers. Not that I have seen them in the wild, mind you, but I have at least seen their cousin, the Zebrina, in the local winter gardens. Anyway, whilst creeping along the floor, they attach roots into the ground to strengthen themselves. So when we leave them to hang in the pot like we do, the stems weaken and the dreaded bare stems at the base thing happens. It's happened to every Tradescantia I've owned. Never again. Mrs. Sheffield brought this gal home from IKEA a couple of years ago, and when she presented it to me I thought, what the bejesus is that thing? It looked like a creature from another world. To be honest, I hated it, but I didn't let on to the missus. I pretended to love it for months until eventually it started to grow on me, much to my surprise. This is an Alocasia elephant ear, and I've fought off the temptation to chuck her in the SMP bin for too long now. Not for the looks, but for her behaviour. You see, the same thing happens every single year. She looks halfway respectable during the summer, you know, like a gal you'd be happy to bring home to meet the parents, but come winter she looks like a lunatic you'd do anything but with. Alocasias go dormant during the winter, at least in my climate they do. Not enough light and heat to keep them going, so they down tools until they pop out new leaves in late spring. To the untrained hand, this would be a nightmare. You wouldn't know whether you were coming or going. One of the most beautiful things in the entire world is a croton leaf. Just look at them, full of colour. Mwah. If you've got one, then let's just do a little check together. Are the leaves on yours getting progressively more green and yellow? You know, losing that beautiful red colour. Yeah, mine too. This, my plant friend, is a sign that it's not getting enough light. But that's just one of the few things to worry about with these though. The most annoying of which is their magnetism to spider mites, moth to a flame. And also their pickiness when it comes to water. Get it wrong once or twice and you won't be forgiven. In the bin they'll need to go. The long-suffering viewers of this channel will know that my favourite plant has long been the Philodendron Birkin. I do know she's a bit Marmite, but I love the pinstripe texture of the leaves. Good enough to eat. Anyway, this is what mine once looked like, and look at her now. Not quite the poster girl for Sheffield made plants, is she? She has issues that I still have no idea what they are. The main one is new leaves coming out all white, turning brown and then falling off miserably. I've tried everything to stop this to no avail. Moving her to more light, to less light, putting her in leca, pruning her till there's barely anything left. I've done it all and still the same thing happens. Probably the trickiest plant I've ever owned, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. This little lamb here is one of my top 5 houseplants, but she's a prima donna. When in rude health, she's a glamour model with long limbs protruding from the stem in elegant style. The problem is though, this ab-fab look never lasts. Just look at her now. I don't even know where to begin. Just why? I'm filming this video at the beginning of summer, so she should be in absolute tip-top shape, but no. The deal with her normally is that she turns into a straggly mess at the end of summer, by which time I have to put her into forced hibernation and get her out to say hello again in spring. I made a video all about the process you can check out, link in the top right. It seems the scragginess has started early this year and I've no idea why. My hunch is that the pot is too small for the number of bulbs I've got in the soil, in which case that's on me. Nonetheless, not an easygoing girl at all. I've talked about a crazy growing Hoya earlier, but this little fella has the opposite problem. It does nothing, absolutely nothing. It just sits there not growing and not dying either. This is a heartleaf Hoya or Hoya kerrii, and you see them all over the place as cute little objects to give to your other half on Valentine's Day. They look cute, sure, but if you're expecting them to turn into anything, they won't. They're basically little stemless leaf cuttings that growers are plonked into some dirt, and for a plant to actually grow, a piece of stem is needed. I'm being harsh of course, but just don't expect these to do anything is all I'm saying. This gal is a monster, not a monstera, a monster. A beautiful monster, I'll grant you. This is a coleus, and before you ask, I'm not really sure what specific variety she is. She was given to us by a friend of Mrs. Sheffield's. My best guess would be a chocolate covered cherry, but I'm not certain. Anyway, this beauty is featured in 2 whole videos I've made for the Sheffies on Patreon, and it's all to do with her rate of growth. Basically, if you're in any way, shape or form tentative when it comes to pruning your beloved plants, this ain't the one for you. Give her some sun and she'll take over your house. So much so that you'll have to tame the beast over and over. I cut mine back 3 times a year and I'm not shy about it. I quite enjoy it actually. Big sections get lopped off and then 2 weeks later it's regrown. It really is remarkable, but not one for the faint-hearted. Now this isn't the first video where I spent 10 minutes moaning about my plants. And if you're a glutton for punishment, then why not check out this video here? See you there.